Hey folks, Studio here. So I'm going to have a special announcement, so if you want to go to the breakdown of the game, I'll have an annotation here. If you want to go to the intro, I'll put the annotation over there. Anyhow, the announcement is I want to do a special kind of replay. A replay that you guys submit to me, but the game has to have special circumstances. So I'm thinking of a title. I'll host it not this Friday, but the Friday after. I want to call it Fuck Off Friday, but that's probably not a good long-term name. So right now, I want you to think of characters that can reduce stats, such as armor, or magic resist, or even attack speed. I don't know if there's 5 characters that can do that. And I want you to assemble a team of 5 characters that can all reduce the same stat on the enemy team. So, for example, if you wanted to have a team that reduces magic resistance, you could have Amumu, Karthus, Fiddlesticks, Kog'Maw, and Soraka, for example. I just kind of thought of those off the top of my head. That may not be the best team, but I want you to make 5 characters that all reduce the same stat. They don't have to do the same type of damage. Kog'Maw can do physical damage, you can build him physical, but he reduces MR with his Q. And the idea is, I want you to experiment. You can go for an all-magic team, for example, and you can do a lot of damage. But that is for next Friday. Now, for today's replay, we're going to be looking at a AP mid Ahri game played by Solence, a 2100 solo queue player, very, very strong. I like him quite a bit. He's considered a bit of a troll, but honestly, I've never had him not try. And if he does something goofy, it may not work out, but it's funny at least. So his mid play is very solid. We're not focusing on a specific theme today, but I'm just going to cover a bunch of general topics. And do look out for his map mobility. Something to remember is you want to be very, very mobile in some situations where you can get stuff done, and other times you want to be mid. See when he's being mobile. I'm not going to point it out. I'll talk about it in the next video. But just when he's being mobile, look at where Twisted Fate is. Alright, let's jump into the replay. And go. So first things first, let's look at summoners and masteries and who's playing who. Solence on Ahri with Flash Ignite. Dom the Playmaker with Exhaust Smite and Boot Start on Lee Sin for some aggression. Sweet Skill, the top lane Fizz with Ghost Ignite. TGF Freddy with Flash Heal, and Marsham Lowell with Exhaust Flash, playing Corki and Nunu respectively. Cornil, the Twisted Fate with Flash Ignite. Krypton, the Tryndamere with Smite Exhaust. Exazar, the Nidalee with Flash Ignite. Bearsy, the Heal Flash Vayne. Goldflower, the Flash Heal. Janna. So, scary things there. Fizz has Ghost and Ignite. He's against Nidalee. Nidalee can chase him down, can kill him, and Fizz will just not be very good against her. He's not a strong enough laner. He has to win very, very early, and is going to require Lee Sin ganks, or else Nidalee will hit 6 and go crazy on him. Crazy bad for him. Crazy. So right there, big mistake. Freddy goes down as Corki. He needs to get the lane. Fizz goes back. Nunu stays to help the jungler out. This is a big problem because now Corki's going to be alone for a while. Janna Vayne could pressure him pretty hard. Vayne just goes in for the roll, tumble, and has Janna shield. She will take a ton of damage, but it ends up okay. So this lane is all about Solence making sure TF does not get out of hand. Twisted Fate is a character who, if he wins his lane, can win the game. Because if he's killing you mid, he's also teleporting and killing you other places. So watch out for that gold card. Komil goes for Harass now. I don't like it, because I think he needs to be level 2 before he can really do some damage. But he's trying to gauge Solence. And right there, I love Solence's response. He says, okay, if you have gold card up, I'm not going to fight you. It's bad for me. But if you're out of position trying to do something else, I will just hit you. Because I can. I can deal damage. So Twisted Fate is not going to go for that harass anymore. And here is Dom. Dom, I don't like him being here because he spends a long time here. That was about 10 seconds. He finally comes out and doesn't really accomplish anything. So he's hit Twisted Fate. That's great and all, but He didn't go around for a gank. He didn't really do anything. And that's kind of important to do when you're playing a ganker like Lee Sin, starting boots. So the lane nothing really happens for a while. TF disappears. I don't know where TF went for this. He doesn't get blue buff. He doesn't really do anything. He might have leashed red for Tryndamere, but that would be kind of late. So I don't know what he did. But Ahri now has an advantage, and he starts playing aggressively. He knows that his skill shots hurt now, and he knows that Lee Sin was nearby. So they get that flash off Twisted Fate. Now, getting flash off Twisted Fate is actually really big, because he can no longer start a gank on his terms. Now compare this to Warwick. Imagine if Warwick hits level 6 and you're laning against him, and someone comes to gank. He can start the fight off and put you in a bad position before the jungler does anything. He starts it, and you can get screwed from it. It's the same with Twisted Fate and Flash. That Flash being down means Twisted Fate can no longer start a gank, which Ahri's going to be very grateful for very, very soon. So Twisted Fate does something very odd. He walks past creeps, he misses CS to go for a gold card. Why would that be? Because Tryndamere is nearby. If you see someone act very, very differently, there's a good chance that there's something amiss. Now this gank, I love how Solence reacts. He just goes for Tryndamere pretty much. Once he realizes he's gonna die, he flashes out defensively, but Twisted Fate in a rush to get a card out did not get a gold card out. If he'd waited for a gold card, I mean, he still might have gotten away actually. And now Tryndamere has to run, and Lee Sin's going to take control of his jungle because he went for that offense. Not bad. Not bad at all. And right here, Solence pushes up and decides it's a good time to go back. Pushing up to a tower is a great way to go back because the tower will kill your creeps very quickly, and the enemy creeps won't really die because yours are dying too fast. So you're going to push back into the lane, and the creeps will be headed towards you now, and you're not going to miss a whole lot. You'll miss some CS, it's really hard not to, but you'll get quite a bit when you get back, and you're not going to miss a whole lot in general, which is what matters. So TF is MIA again. I don't know what he's doing, but Solence is already 6, he has a massive lead on him, and he can apply some pressure before TF hits 6. Luckily, Tryndamere is going to let them apply the pressure. Now I don't like his escape route. He should have seen Lee Sin, and he goes right through him to get away. He should have gone through Dragon, he should have tried to do something, rather than just give himself to Lee Sin. Now unfortunately there, Solence missed his charm. I can't really blame him. When you play a positional character like Ahri who moves around a lot, if you try and go for just a fast skill shot, sometimes you just miss it, because you're moving around so much, you lose track of where you are. So there, Solence, I mean, the angles matter so much there. I mean, you click half a pixel to the side, you're aiming somewhere else. He just missed that skill shot. But something important, Fizz is doing poorly. This was something they needed to watch out for, and it's happening. Nidalee kicking his ass. So Solence needs to pressure him. He needs to do some damage. So right here, this is just something I'd like to mention. When you AoE down creep waves, be careful that one of two things will happen. You'll get every creep, or you'll put them in a position where you can last hit them. Now, Solence messes up a little bit. He didn't let the orb hit that top creep, and he misses the CS. But every other creep is going to be in kill range, and he's just going to get that kill, except this one. This one tanked all the creep damage, so he was able to go ahead and get every CS in that wave, except one. So he's still pressuring TF. TF is really far behind because he disappeared. And he's able to just kind of take control of the lane. He can actually put some pressure on. Now, I like what they do here. This was going to be jungle pressure. If you look at the minimap, Ahri's going towards their jungle. But he realizes that Fizz is in trouble and immediately changes his mind. He goes from chasing into the jungle to going for Nidalee. Now, you want to watch out for Nidalee because she's really, really hard to kill. I mean, you think it was Lee Sin and Ahri that could get her, but they both go for her in that top bush. Lee Sin's just not fast enough to get towards her, and she gets away. I mean, Nidalee is one of the hardest characters in the game to gank, and what they could have done is have Lee Sin go for the bot bush and just wait for her, essentially. but Nidalee could have also ran through purple side's tri-bush. So what I'm saying is Nidalee's hard to gank, bring a lot of CC when you go to kill her. Now, this is kind of bad. Fizz died, they didn't have an answer for it, and Twisted Fate was able to go back mid and catch up a bit. Now, the good news is Twisted Fate didn't go for a gank. He could have easily gone bot lane, and they would not have had an answer for it, but luckily bot lane went back themselves. So, good for them. Very good for them. And you're going to see Solence respond to a Twisted Fate gank. And I like what he does quite a bit. So Twisted Fate is going to gank. You have options. If you have teleport, you can teleport to meet him. You can keep pushing your lane. In this case, Twisted Fate's been MIA for a bit. He realizes it. He calls it out. And he goes bottom. The reason being, where can Twisted Fate gank right now? Top is dead. Bot is currently in a fight by their tower. Where do you think he's going to go? So, if Twisted Fate had ganked a different lane, if he'd been going top or had just gone back to base, well then all of a sudden Ahri starting a gank in her favor. Now that fight is very, very odd. Solence is kind of AoEing down everybody, but unfortunately killing everybody or damaging everybody isn't killing everybody. So people are surviving. Goldflower gets just a little bit out of position and ends up in Nunu ult and dies. And it sucks. I believe he actually walked in. I think he was going to go for an ult, but he really didn't need to, and he suffered for it. Nunu tried to dive, ended up getting gold carded. Don't dive when you have low HP and someone has a stun. And Lee Sin forgot to dodge. He didn't get stunned, so he could have dodged, and I think him not getting stunned is actually what caught him off guard, because he didn't think they would actually go for him. And unfortunately for Solence, Nidalee did go bot, and they lose Flash, and they're going to lose Dragon. Now, if you can get into a team fight after the enemy team is fought and they're low, that is a great time to get into a fight. I mean, as long as you did a lot of damage, it's good. So in this case, they're all relatively low, have very little mana. Sadly, Freddy is low, so that's kind of risky for them. But they're just able to kind of chase down members of the team, and they're at risk of being bursted, essentially. I love this just Q. He gets almost everybody with one orb. He got Jan and Tryndamere with both parts of that orb. He's able to do a lot of damage. So even though they were behind and getting killed and the enemy team just got Dragon, they're going to pick up kills out of it. Tryndamere goes down. Vayne mans up a bit too much. And there's just some cleanup. Freddy dies to the side of Nidalee. They're starting to chase on Nidalee. I mean, don't chase Nidalee. When she's away, she's away. And Nidalee does something silly, and she assumes Ahri is doing red with the team. So, if you're someone like Ahri, Annie, maybe Malzahar, and you can't really do a lot of good, consistent damage to creeps, and you're doing something like Dragon or Lizard, sometimes Baron, and you don't need to rush it down, go to the side, go put some pressure if they ever try and invade and stop you. If the entire team comes and you can't, and you're going to hit tanks and can't really do much, back up, of course, but if you're in a bush hiding, you can catch that low HP Nidalee very, very easily. So, Twisted Fate just used his ult, and they didn't get a kill. So, they respond by taking mid tower. I like this quite a bit. If you can't respond to a gank quickly enough, then just go ahead, take some territory, take a tower. Now, this is a very bad situation for Ahri. She saw Twisted Fate, she sees Tryndamere, and she goes in for these kills. They're diving in between two towers, and they're at low HP already. I'm not sure what Lee Sin's escape plan was there, but it was funny. So, I mean, Twisted Fate and Tryndamere are great duelists. They're able just to burn down the enemy team just because they're low. And Solence actually makes a really big mistake there. He uses Spirit Fire way too early. Now, the way Spirit Fire works, it'll go after enemy champions, but it procs relatively quickly. So it all got burned on Tryndamere, and she wasn't able to get that kill. But this is just a reminder that even when you're ahead, you can get killed just because you have more gold doesn't mean you're in an advantage. And in this case, they really weren't to begin with, so don't take these silly risks. Alright, let's go to part 2.